Thank you for viewing NEC Sidewalker webinar. I will be your instructor for this Sidewalker Retraining. You will be observing a staged Sidewalker training and a hands-on training. As a reminder, as a Sidewalker, you must be able to perform the following duties: walk for 30 to 60 minutes, jog for short distances. If you are unable to jog beside the horse, please let us know and we will assign you to work with riders who do not trot. Remain comfortable and calm around working with the horses. Be able to hold your arms above shoulder height and support modest weight. Be able to effectively communicate with the instructors and riders. Please silence your cell phones to avoid any distractions and so you are able to give us your utmost attention. Wayne, I'd just like to address your hat and shoes. I'd appreciate if you didn't wear a hat. Our riders may like to take it off and distract them. And also your shoes are pretty nice and they will get dirty and you'll get sand in your shoes. So if you could put on sneakers or boots, something that ties, that's a little more appropriate, we would appreciate it. Thank you. For your refresher, I wanted to review the different Sidewalker types. The designated Sidewalker. If you are the designated Sidewalker, you are the volunteer who takes the child to the ramp. You will be the person responsible for repeating directions, coaching the child throughout the lesson activities, and answering any questions the rider may have. The supporter Sidewalker is the volunteer on the ground at the ramp. You're also there to help the rider throughout the lesson. However, you may not have as much of a speaking role as a designated Sidewalker. The reason we have two different Sidewalker types is to help our riders maintain their focus and concentrate during lessons. The majority of our riders do much better responding to lesson tasks when directions are repeated by one person instead of 2 or 3 people talking to them at once. They are able to keep their focus and have a better understanding of the task assigned to them.
I have a question. Who decides who's going to be the designated and who's going to be the supportive Sidewalker?
The volunteer coordinator will assign those positions. Don't forget, you are directly responsible for the rider and have most of the hands-on duties. You are responsible for the rider only, not the horse. Your focus should always be on your rider. Make sure that you are looking up at your rider at all times and not down at your feet. Do not ever leave your rider's side. Remember, you are there to help support and maintain the rider's safety. You are compromising your rider's safety if you leave them unattended. Make sure that you maintain your safety hold at all times, unless you have been told it is okay to do a relaxed hold. Please don't ever assume that it's okay to remove your safety hold. Once assigned to your rider, please do the following. Introduce yourself to your rider. Introduce yourself to your other team members, the leader, and your fellow Sidewalker at the mounting ramp. Kicker, your horse is ready. Come on up.
So, after this is all over, you want to get some coffee or
Could you guys please get your rider?
maybe a smoothie? I know Great Place makes a powerhouse smoothie. I mean,
Volunteers?
yeah.
Who's assigned to kicker? Please get your rider.
Absolutely. I would love to.
Please pay attention.
Hey, you, come on, you're up.
Come on up. Please shut the gate. Thank you. Shelly, you're going to come up here with me on the block. Wayne, could you please put kicker to the inside to the rail and have some type of connection? Thank you. How are you?
Good. How are you, Miss Leah?
Good. Does everybody know everybody?
Hi, I'm Shelly.
Hi, Shelly. I'm Kicker.
I'm Wayne.
Hi, Wayne.
And?
I'm Kelly Kicker.
Hi,
Good.
Kelly.
Hi, Kelly.
All right. Want to put your hands down here. And Wayne, can you help him bring his leg over? Up and over. Don't kick. Good job. All right. So Shelly, you want to go into your safety hold. Wayne, you want to go into your safety hold also. And make sure you hold his leg up so it doesn't get caught between the ramp and the horse. And Kicker, you help him as much as you can, all right? So here's your reins. And we're going to say walk on. Our next mount is a sit pivot mount. This is for riders who can't open up their hips and come around behind the horse and mount in a croup mount. So this is a sit pivot mount. I'm going to turn Kicker around and support him at his hips. Bring him back to the horse. Slide up. And Shelly, you need to support his back. You're going to bring his leg up and over Wayne and directly into your safety hold.
Should I put his foot in the stirrup?
No, we do the stirrups out in the arena. When these riders mount in the sit pivot, a lot of times they don't have a flexibility or are able to stabilize themselves. So we'll need to support their back a little and bring them right leg over the neck of the horse and immediately go into your safety hold position. We do have a Sure Hands lift at our portable ramp in the arena, and it will go under their arms, under their legs. It picks the rider up, swings them over the horse, and sets them down. The majority of our riders that need to mount this way do use the Sure Hand lift. So safety hold, ask your horse to walk on, Kicker.
Walk on.
Into the arena to do your stirrups. If by chance the horse comes a little bit far away from the ramp, please do not jump down to reconnect. Just ask the leader to whoa the horse and come down nice and quietly. So when the horse comes in and stops, sidewalkers, you need to continue holding your safety hold. Kicker, we're going to adjust your stirrups. Oh, Wayne, please don't take off your safety hold. Keep your safety hold. I'll adjust the stirrups or have someone else do it. We don't want to lose that support for Kicker. Thank you. Kelly is our leader in this team of Snickers and Kicker. Her responsibility is for the horse and the horse only. She stands in front when we whoa and listens to the rider give his verbal commands, and then we'll help the rider direct the horse. Kicker, can you pick your reins up and say walk on? What do you ask your horse?
Walk on.
And sidewalkers, please always be looking up at your rider. Ask your horse to walk on, Kicker.
Walk on.
Wayne, if you could please remember to always be in a safety hold unless instructed otherwise. Wayne, please be aware of how much weight you are putting on your hold. You are knocking the rider off center. Thank you. You have to kind of keep an eye on that. And please stay up by the rider's leg with your body, not fall back into the horse. Very good. Thank you. So Wayne, some things I want to review with you. When he started to walk off, the first thing you did was drop your arm into a relaxed hold. Kicker is the type of rider that needs a safety hold at all times. So take your safety hold back. And then when you went, you leaned, you kind of pushed a little hard, and see how you're offsetting his hips and moving him to that side. So you need to be aware of how hard the sidewalker over there might be holding, and you guys need to work it so he stays centered. And then you're way back here. The horses don't like that. If you want to stay up by his leg, it gives you a better position, and always be looking up at your rider. Thank you. Shelly, you did a great job. You maintained your hold, your body position's correct. She's looking up at the rider. This was excellent. Thank you. So let's go from our safety hold to our relaxed hold. In the relaxed hold, you just have a connection to the horse, not supporting the rider's thigh. But you have to have some type of connection to the horse. So whether it's the back of the saddle pad or the edge of the saddle, you still need to be lined up with their leg and looking up at your rider. Always look up at your rider. Some of our riders will need to have a safety hold. Some days they may need to have a relaxed hold. It always depends on the rider, the horse, and the day. But the instructor will always give you those directions.
Walk on.
Oh, Wayne, please don't ever lose connection. Can you whoa, Kelly? Can you whoa your horse, Kicker? And do not run after your horse. This is why we ask that you have your hand at the back of the saddle pad or up by the saddle. Anytime someone seems to not have that connection, they sort of get left in the background. So if you have sand in your shoe or you need to tie your shoe, flag the instructor, say, hey, Leah, can you come over? I would come over and take your place. You could address your issue and then come back and we will walk on. Okay, it's a safety issue. We never want to leave our riders without support, okay? Now I'd like to go over our commands we ask our riders to give to our horse. Our verbal riders are asked to say, walk on for the walk,
Walk on.
trot on for the trot, and whoa to stop their horse. If they are nonverbal, we ask them to use their reins. So a walk on is a shaking of the reins. A whoa is to pull the reins back to their belly. And to trot, we have them hold their handle in front of their saddle and to trot on. So our sidewalkers need to allow our riders to have time to process this. Please remember, simple commands are best. And when we give them to our riders, sometimes it takes them a few seconds to think about what we're asking. So we give them 3 tries. Ask your horse to walk on. Ask your horse to walk on. And if they don't do it by then, the sidewalkers, the designated sidewalker, can help the rider and say, remind them of the task I've given them. Kicker, can you ask your horse to walk on?
Walk on.
Wayne, please remember that our riders do not gain as much out of their lesson if you do things for them. So less is better. That's our motto. Less is better. You're here to help, but not do it. Now, if something happens and Kicker becomes off center, or you need to ask the leader to whoa the horse, you may do so. And also let the leader know if he's turning the horse correctly, because she cannot see him. Her back is to the horse. So you may assist in that way. Okay?
Okay.
Great.
So, Shelley, coffee,
Hey,
cappuccino,
Wayne,
mocha.
if I could please remind you, we need to, whoa your horse, Kicker. We need to keep our conversations at a limited, we love the socialization. We like that everyone becomes friends, but we need to do it after lessons. Our riders are only out here for a half an hour, so every minute counts. If they would like to discuss something with you, I would like you to do that after the lesson. Keep them focused on their task. All right, Kicker, ask your horse to walk on.
Walk on.
Sidewalkers looking up at your rider at all times. Kicker, can you please walk to letter H and turn left? So I want you to turn left at H. Simple directions are best for our riders. Always remember, less is more. Our riders respond much better to directions that are clear and simple. It is important to remember to keep your verbal assistance with the rider to a minimum so they will not become confused when the task at hand. For an example, the task is to turn right at letter E. The correct direction would be, Johnny, pick up your reins, and at letter E, turn right. The incorrect direction would be, Johnny, you're going to pick up your reins and then use your right hand to go over to letter E, and then once your horse gets there, you're going to make him go right. This is too detailed and complicated. So turn your horse left, Kicker. Wayne, you can take your hand over his hand and show him how to pull the rein back to his hip. You may assist him. Very good. Ask your horse to walk on, Kicker.
Walk on.
Anytime our riders need a little assistance, it should be hand over hand with simple directions. Some riders require more. A few things we would like you to remember during the lesson is to check and make sure your rider is in the middle of their saddle. Help them with their focus and attention. Less is more. Don't do it all for them, but let them do as much as they can. And are their feet in their stirrups during the lesson? You always want to make sure your rider's foot is placed properly in the stirrup. If it becomes out, you will ask the leader to whoa and replace their foot. These are safety stirrups. Our safety stirrups have a peacock, and if the rider becomes disengaged from the horse, this should break open and their feet will not get stuck in the stirrup. We also have a bowed metal stirrup, and that goes to the outside. Same concept, the rider's foot will not get stuck in the stirrup. Make sure this peacock is always on the outside of the stirrup. During our lessons, our riders work with many different tools. We have dice, we have rings, we have balls, we have stars and beanbags. So they're learning colors, shapes, numbers. They're learning hand-eye coordination. So as I've mentioned in the past, we want our riders to do as much as they can. Less is more. Remember that. So I'm going to ask Kicker to bring Snickers up to our wall and pick up a ring. Can you ask Snickers to walk on? You want to get your horse close enough and say, good. Can you get the green ring, Kicker? So he brought his horse close enough and could pick that up. If he was a little bit further away and wasn't able to, we could ask him a couple things. You, as a designated sidewalker, Wayne, could ask him to maybe make a circle and bring his horse closer so he could actually reach the ring. Or if it's very hard for him, you can hold the ring up, not give it to him because we want him to work a little harder. We'd hold it up here, ask him maybe to stretch and pick up the ring. And then tuck it in his saddle. You're in your safety hold, and we'll ask him to walk on and put it on a pole. So ask your horse to walk on.
Walk on.
So you're going to put your ring right here, Kicker. Get your horse nice and close. And 3, 2, 1. Closer, close.
Whoa.
Go ahead and put your ring on. We always want our riders to use both of their arms and hands when doing an activity. So he came in this direction and used his left arm. We may have him circle and use his right one and put it on that way. That's a lot of hand-eye coordination, and we encourage that. Wayne is looking up at his rider. Now, if Kicker had dropped his ring, I would not expect Wayne to stop and get it, lose contact from his safety hold and pick up the ring. I would get the ring for him, or we would just get another one. Someone would bring it over to Kicker. Never leave your rider to pick up any type of things that are dropped on the ground. Please remember when your rider is dropping off a ring, if the pole is a little high or needs to be adjusted a little, do not pick it up and move it over to your rider. This could always spook the horse, and safety is our most important factor that we think about out here. So the rider can make a circle, get a little closer, or you can ask the instructor if you need some additional assistance in the pole. So now we're going to ask our horse to walk on, Kicker. As you notice, the pole is in Wayne's way. Wayne, that is not what we would do. You could have scared the horse. It could have knocked into someone else that was walking by. If you become detached because you have to go around a pole, just go ahead, come around the pole, meet back up with the horse as they're proceeding forward. If you have to ask the leader to whoa the horse for you to catch up, then please do so. Go ahead, Kicker, ask your horse to walk on and put your ring on the T-pole. And ask Snickers to walk on. 1, 2, 3. That is a proper demonstration on how to get out of the path of a pole.
Again. Kelly, whoa.
If at any time as a sidewalker you feel there's an unsafe situation, whether it's the horse, something blowing across the driveway, something the horse is looking at, you may ask the leader to whoa the horse and assess the situation. Ask the instructor to come over and see what's going on, and we will proceed from there. As the sidewalker, not only if you feel the horse has become unsafe due to some circumstances, if the rider has become a little agitated or is biting, kicking, pulling your hair, you may ask them to stop. If they do not listen, then you would call the instructor over and they would handle that situation. The next thing I would like to review is in the worst case scenario under our arena, a rider falls off the horse. There's a few steps that need to be followed. First, never pick up the rider. Go to the rider and comfort them. They will be scared. They may be embarrassed. They may try to stand up. Ask them to stay laying down or sitting until the instructor gets to the site.
Leo.
Kelly, can you please take the horse out of the situation? Do not move him in case he has a neck injury. Kicker, can you wiggle your fingers? So we would assess the situation. Shelly, can you go call 911 and bring out the AED? To review the steps if a rider falls off of a horse, 1, stay calm. 2, go to the rider and comfort them. 3, never move the rider. There could be a neck injury And 4, wait for the instructor to come over and assess the situation. At the end of our lesson, our riders get to trot their horses down the long side. This is usually their favorite part of the lesson. So we ask our riders to whoa their horse, hold their safety handle on the front, and we encourage them to hold their reins at the same time. Sidewalkers can help encourage this and make sure they're properly placed. Sidewalkers need to be in a safety hold unless otherwise directed by the instructor. You're going to look up at your rider. Kicker, you're going to ask Snickers to walk on.
Walk on.
And then you're going to ask her to trot.
Trot.
You had to have seen what I saw as they were trotting down the long side. Did you notice? As Wayne was going, he was tapping the horse at the girth area to make her go faster. We do not do this here. You never know the response that the horse may give you when you tap at the girth area. The instructor will come over and prompt the horse to go a little faster if needed. Please remember, as mentioned in our guidelines, if you are unable to trot down the long side, please let the instructor know and someone will come and replace you during the trot. The next procedure we're going to review in our sidewalking webinar is the emergency dismount. This would only be done under the directions of the instructor. An emergency dismount is only performed if an instructor has made the request. Emergency dismounts are done only under extreme circumstances when the rider's safety is in immediate danger. The following cases would elicit an emergency dismount. The horse becomes unsafe or is misbehaving. The rider is having a medical emergency such as a seizure. Please do not take the rider off the horse unless you have been instructed to do so. We will ask one person to be the designated volunteer to perform the emergency dismount. Remember, you are responsible for the rider only, as the leader has been trained to deal with the horse. These are the procedures that you need to follow if you are the sidewalker responsible for the emergency dismount. Grab the rider on both sides of the hips, which is the center of gravity. Grab the back of the pants, shirt, belt if you are unable to grab the hips. Pull the rider into your chest as you step back and away from the horse. They will begin to slide towards you, and it is a possibility that you may fall or the rider may fall on top of you. Please advise a staff member if you are no longer feel comfortable performing the emergency dismount so that we can find a replacement. It may be necessary that the unassigned person may have to step in and carry out the emergency dismount. In the case where the rider is already coming off in the direction of the unassigned sidewalker, we would not want to push them back to the center and then dismount them from the assigned side. Both sidewalkers should always be alert and ready to step in for this procedure. As we finish up our lessons, we ask our riders to bring their horse down to our gate and ask them to whoa. We encourage our riders to thank our volunteers for helping them have such a successful lesson and to pet their horses on the neck and give them a big thank you. All of our riders must stay in the arena until everyone is dismounted and waiting at the gate. Now for the dismount. We do a croup dismount. We ask our riders to take their feet out of their stirrups. Remember, this is part of their therapy, being able to do this themselves. You can tap them on the toe or push a little to have them release that. We ask them to drop their reins, lean forward, you can do it, lean forward to give their horse a big hug and bring their leg over the back of the horse and slide to the ground. Remember, less is better. If they're able to bring their leg over by themselves and you just steady them going down the horse, that is great. Once your rider is on the ground, please be sure to support them for 2 reasons. 1, their legs may be a little weak from being on the horse for a half an hour. And 2, some of our riders will dart off and be very excited to rejoin their family, and we want to keep them safe. So you will walk them to the gate and wait for the rest of the riders to dismount. We will never ask a volunteer to dismount a rider by themselves. An instructor will always be present. Our second type of dismount is called a sit-pivot dismount. We ask the riders to take their feet out of their stirrups if they are able to drop their reins, and then their right leg will come over the horse's neck. The sidewalker on the other side needs to support them at their hips. The sidewalker on this side is going to support their hips and push into the horse as they come down. Once again, when they hit the ground, please make sure they are supported and walk them up to the gate. Some weeks we do vaulting. The rider sits on a Western pad and has a 2-handle surcingle. This is a challenge to the rider's balance. I'm going to show you the different positions and the holds that the sidewalkers need to do. Kicker, if you can take your right leg and swing it over Snicker's neck and sit sideways. Please remember, less is better. If he is able to bring his leg over the horse's neck and sit properly, please allow that. If he's struggling a little, you can help him so he's not kicking the horse in the neck. You need to take your right hand kicker and hold the front handle and your left hand and put it on the pad. Wayne, your hands will go right under his kneecaps and the front of the kneecaps. Yep. And Shelly, yours will go at his waist. Remember to look up at your rider. Also remember in this position, watch how much hold you're having. You are just stabilizing the rider. Do not push him too much. He will go off the one side. Do not push him too hard at the hips. He will come off on the left side. Our next position is sitting backwards. So kicker, take your left leg, bring it over the horse. You need to watch that he doesn't scrape his boot across the horse's butt. We want to help keep that up. He will hold his handles and face backwards. Sidewalkers will both take their hand and put it under their heel. This is not a normal position to be on the horse, and where their heels are at can be goosey to the horse. So you want to take your right hand, Wayne, and hold it under his heel. This allows when the horse is walking or trotting, because we do trot backwards, it's a favorite of everyone. This allows, keeps the rider's heels from bumping into the horse. Now kicker, take your right leg and swing it over the back of the horse and face Shelly. As I said, if he needs some assistance getting his legs up and over, please help. If not, just be there for support. And turn and face forward. Always look up at your rider. While you're walking, you're a little twisted at your waist because you have to walk straight forward and hold the rider under the kneecaps and the waist. Go ahead, kicker, turn and face forward. And back to a safety hold if needed. Some of our riders will kneel, some will stand, some will even stand and walk. Please know that during a lesson, it may be necessary for the instructor to correct you in the way you are assisting the rider. The instructors try to be discreet and make corrections on the sly so the volunteers do not feel offended or embarrassed. However, there may be a time when an abrupt change is required in order to maintain the safety of the rider and the volunteer team. Due to time constraints, the instructor may not always have time to clarify why they are making a change or correction. Please always feel free to speak to the instructors on the side, and they will be happy to explain in further detail. Thank you for your time. NEC could not provide this service without all of our wonderful volunteers. Thank you for viewing our webinar. We'd like to remind you that this has been a staged webinar and they are used for educational and reviewing purposes. At NEC, our biggest concern is safety, and we appreciate all your time.